Hi, Professor. This is Anmol Singh, student of Psychology 104, Developmental Personality, Social and Clinical Psychology from University Canada West. And my topic for the presentation is experimental and non-experimental research on aggression. Introduction. So in my presentation, I will give an overview of experimental and non-experimental research. So after that, I will tell what is aggression and its theories. After that, I will explain experimental study on aggression, then non-experimental study on aggression, comparison of strengths and weakness, appropriate use of method, conclusion. At the end, I will give my references. So what is experimental and non-experimental research? In experimental research, the researcher possesses the ability to manipulate and control the independent variable to examine and evaluate the proposed hypothesis. So on the another hand, in non-experimental research, the researcher is tasked with the observation and measurement of natural factors without exerting control over them. So, what is aggression and its sign? So, basically, aggression encompasses a spectrum of habits that have the potential to cause physical or psychological damage to oneself, others, or the surrounding objects. Aggressions primarily revolves around inflicting harm upon another individuals either through physical or psychological means. Signs of aggressions are physical aggressions, verbal aggressions, relational aggressions, passive aggressives. Types of aggression, basically there are two types of aggression. One is impulsive aggression and another is instrumental aggressions. Impulsive aggression is strong emotion characterized impulsive aggressive, often known as affective or reactive violence. Impulsive aggression, especially anger, include activates the amygdala, hypothalamus, and pre-adequatal graze acute threat response system. Instrumental aggression. Predatory aggression, also known as instrumental aggression, involves action with the greater objective. Instrumental hostility is usually premeditated and has a purpose. Theories of aggression. Basically there are three basic theories of the aggression. The first one is the frustration aggression theory, postulates that aggression arises as a consequences of frustration, whereby frustration can potentially escalate into aggressive behavior when certain triggers are present. This theoretical framework centers on the adverse outcome resulting from the non-attainment of objectives such as unsuccessful performance in examinations. The social learning theory, as postulated by Albert Bandura, posits that individuals acquire novel behaviors through the process of observational learning, a social phenomena that offer insight that diverse behavioral patterns. The theoretical framework comprises three fundamental principles, namely observational learning, internal cognitive process, and the proposition that learning does not invariably result in modifications in behavior. The theory of aggression as an instinct posits that human aggression is an inherent biological impulse akin to the drives of sex and hunger. The proposition posits that aggression plays a vital role in both survival and the establishment of territorial boundaries, while sport function as controlled means of challenging aggression. Political scientists contexts that the contemporary bureaucratic state gives rise to armed conflict, suggesting that human aggression is a consequences of political system that flourish through the perpetuations of hostiles. So, experimental study on aggression. According to the Polman et al. 2008, there exists a significant level of concern regarding the potential impact of engaging in violent video games on the objective of the current research project was to examine the varying effects of active participation versus passive observation of a violent video game and subsequent aggressive behavior. A total of 57 children ranging in age from 10 to 13 were assigned to one of three experimental conditions: active violent, passive violent, and active non-violent. In the active violent condition, participation played a video game with violent content. In the passive violent condition, participants observed the same violent video game being played. Lastly, in the active non-violent condition, participation played a video game without any violent content. The assessment of aggression was conducted by collecting peer nomination of actual instances of aggressive behavior that occurred during a period of unstructured play at the school. Following their active engagement in playing a violent video game, male participation exhibited a higher level of aggressive behavior compared to those who were in the passive game condition. There was no significant association between game condition and aggression among female participants. The result of this study suggests that, particularly in the case of male individuals engaging in violent video games, play is likely to result in a higher level of aggression compared to exposure to violence through televisions. Non-experimental research on aggression. According to Halt et al. 2009, a meta-analysis was undertaken to find out whether non-experimental studies provide evidence of correlation between men's consumption of pornography and their attitudes endorsing violence against women. The present meta-analysis addressed limitation identified in a prior meta-analysis and incorporated updated empirical evidence. In contrast to the previous meta-analysis, the present finding indicates a notable and statistical significant positive correlation between the consumption of pornography and the endorsement of attitude that condone violence against women in non-experimental studies. Moreover, it was observed that this attitude exhibits a stronger correlation with the consumption of sexually violent pornography compared to non-violent pornography, although the association with the latter was also deemed significant. This study addressed a perceived discrepancy in existing body of literature concerning the relationship between pornography consumption and aggressive attitudes. By concluding a comprehensive analysis, the study demonstrated that the finding of non-experimental study in the domain align completely with those of experimental studies. The discovery hold significant ramifications for the broader body of research on the relationship between pornography and aggression. So, comparison of strengths and weakness of experimental and non-experimental methods in the context of studying aggression. Experimental study strengths: casualty, control, and replication. Its weakness are artificiality, where some in research methods artificiality will come and there will be the result will not be appropriate. Demand characteristics, where sometimes the character knows like what he's going to do and for what reason he's taking part in the aggression, and so might he will not show the proper aggression as he showed. Non-experimental study strengths: real-world applicability, ethical advantages, ecological validity. Weakness: lack of control, limited precision. Appropriate method of research. Regarding the topic of comparison, it is worth nothing that there are various aspects to consider. Both experimental and non-experimental research method possess distinct advantages and disadvantages. However, both methods yield varying responses that contribute to our understanding of aggression, as evidenced by the finding of both research approaches. In the realm of experimental research, scholars have discovered a positive correlation between increased aggression and the engagement in violent video games, particularly among male individuals. Conversely, Non-experimental research has revealed a similar association between increased exposure to pornography and a rise in violent tendency, predominantly observing among male individuals while favoring the female gender. Conclusion. To conclude, aggression involves action that injure oneself, other, or the environment. Aggression focuses on physical or mental harm. Both studies, experimental and non-experimental studies, have strengths and faults, but they give their finest data for better results. So this is the references for my research topic. Thank you, Professor.